Hello, thank you so much for joining us today for Brewing Up Success, the art of efficient brewery accounting. My name is Stephanie Smith, and today I am joined by my colleagues, Jake Tasseff and Elle Sutherland. Jake and I are account managers at Melio Payments. For those of you not familiar, Melio is the fastest growing business-to-business payment platform in the United States. We are so proud to partner with thousands of food and beverage businesses throughout the US, helping them spend more time with their customers and less time with their books. Today, we are so thrilled and thankful to welcome David Lynn, owner of Comrade Brewing. Today, we have a very exciting and packed agenda for you all. Together with one of the very best in the biz, David, thank you so much for being here. We'll be tapping into the secrets of maximizing your cash flow and learning how to ferment your finances effectively. So without further ado, let's get started. So David, thank you again so much for being with us today. We'd love to just start off hearing a little bit about your brewery and how it came to be.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, thanks for inviting me, and happy to be a part of this. Founder of Comrade Brewing Company. We opened up in 2014. Before that, I started my commercial brewing experience in 2005 and worked for several breweries, from brew pubs to large production breweries, and then back to a small tap room that then turned into a large production brewery. And then kind of just wanted to do it on my own. About us, we're pretty small. We're draft only, so no cans, no bottles. We are maybe doing about 1,400, 1,500 barrels this year, and we're located in Denver, Colorado. So all our beers are just here in Denver. Since we've opened, we've won 7 medals at the Great American Beer Festival and 2 World Beer Cup golds. I think we're the second brewery ever to win 2 golds for American IPA at GABF. So 2 golds for the most competitive category. We brew everything on a 100% US made system, also pretty rare in Denver. And, we pride ourselves on, providing, industry leading benefits. I would say, we have a small team of 9 here, and I think there's only ever been maybe only like 10 or 11 employees that are no longer with us. So we were maybe losing less than a year. We still have, out of the 9, out of the our beer tenders, we still have 2 that have been here since we opened up in April of 2014, and
Wow.
I think they're planning on staying. So
That's really incredible. Congratulations on all the success. The growth and the loyalty of your employees is really, really impressive. Obviously, running a business with success does come some challenges, of course. What would you say are the biggest challenges when it comes to running the business?
let's say, yeah, for like the wholesale side of it, definitely getting paid by our wholesale accounts. That always seems to be a constant struggle. So just finding easy ways for our vendors to pay us, that helps things out. And then I would say, like, also just like you know along with having taking care of the staff, they also need a lot of hand holding too. So
Right.
that's also kind of hard to manage as well. So I'd say, like, those are maybe my two biggest like time that the issues that occupy my time.
Okay. All right. Well, makes a lot of sense. Obviously, you mentioned getting paid on time. I know we'll jump into that a little bit later on in this conversation, how Melio has potentially helped you with that. Would love to learn a little bit more about what makes up your accounting team. You mentioned that you currently have 9 employees working for you. Are you mainly handling the accounting, or are there other people touching it as well?
We have an outside bookkeeper, but for receiving payments and everything else, it's just me and then my sales manager. So he's out delivering kegs, also picking up payments, inputting payments, and then if we do have vendors that outside vendors that we rely on, then I submit those payments to them.
Okay. All right. So wearing a lot of hats over there.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out of the. I don't really brew anymore. I have I have a super competent brewmaster and brewer, so most of my time is spent sitting in the office. And um, having worked at another brewery, we always joke that at the previous brewery I worked at, that we always joke like the owner, like he doesn't brew and he just sits in the office all day. So I knew, when I was working there, I was like, that's maybe not too bad, because I think it's important to have people more talented than yourself. So my brewmaster, and my business partner, he's way more of a talented brewer than I ever will be. So I can also manage the office and the operations a lot better than he can. So it's a good fit to have us both rely on our strengths.
Well, that's terrific. I think that's a sign of a well-run business. So when it comes to maintaining the day-to-day operations, how would you say that cash flow impacts your business, and what does taking control of it allow you to do?
Well, I think it's definitely important to have the cash come in. So some of our accounts are net 30. It's not, the wholesale part isn't that big of a, it's like maybe like a third of our business or maybe a quarter of our business, and the rest of it comes from the tap room. So the tap room is kind of like really pays for everything and what people come in. And that's where the margins are at.
Mhm.
For cash flow, I mean, I feel like we haven't had any issues. I thought that there was going to be, just seeing like the way that the craft industry had matured, and having seen it like go, boom and bust multiple times, even like before I even got into it. Um, I thought that there was like the maturation to the market. We kind of planned for that, and we actually just put like a spending freeze in place in like 2017. So since then, we just kind of axed all capital expenditures and just been like saving. Um,
Sure.
so
So,
yeah, when COVID hit, we had already been saving for saving money for like 3.5 years, so it wasn't going to
wow,
really change anything for us.
nice. Nice. So in addition to saving money and being aware of that, any other strategies that you found most effective in maintaining a healthy cash flow?
Just getting, really improving customer service, I think is important.
Mm,
Gets more people to come to the tap room.
yep.
And then, we still rely on a lot of like word of mouth, and mainly just drumming up more sales is the best way to get more cash. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And the customers always come first. So customer service and attention to that is definitely key. I definitely agree. You mentioned that the shift in the craft beer industry over the past couple of years. Obviously, we know that seasons have a lot to do with sales as well. Um, any experiences that you can share on managing cash flow during seasonal fluctuations? Obviously, we're entering, and how is that looking for you as compared to the summer months?
oh yeah, we're just like most other breweries. We definitely busy in the summertime. Winters can have a lot of snow, so that will reduce the amount of like it reduces wholesale, reduces retail sales. Um, I mean, just kind of like saving. One of the things that has been interesting just recently is just the increase in interest rates. So we've ended up, opening up extra accounts at another bank and like short term CDs or savings accounts. So one of the banks, they're offering like a 5% like 3 month CD or something like that. So you can, I've been creating a ladder with that to kind of at least, you know, don't really have anything earmarked for like the excess cash that we have, and kind of like at least it's not sitting around and doing
Right.
nothing.
Really great advice there. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to pass it off to Jake for a couple more questions for you, David. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Steph. And David. David and I have had a chance to work together a little bit while I helped David get some things set up here at Melio. So Excited to get a chance for him to share these experiences. And David, I know that you kind of came to Melio through Root Shoot Malting. I think they were like an account that kind of introduced you to Melio in the sense that they had that link that you probably paid through that first time. But what was it beyond just like getting introduced to it by one of your suppliers that made you interested in learning some more about it and potentially using it even further for your business?
Yeah, we're not like we don't have any like ERP or anything here. We're pretty basic in terms of accounting and running our operation. We rely on QuickBooks. I think most businesses starting out do. And in the beginning for many years, when we were using them, and up until like only a few years ago, into it, you could just click review and pay, and then just enter your bank account ACH. It was pretty frictionless, and the most important thing that it was like zero fees. So to have him then come by all of a sudden one day and saying, "Hey, we're going to start charging 1%," it's like, well, uh, you know, the margins on wholesale aren't that great anyway. So I'm just trying to make sure that to keep our wholesale prices low is like to manage the costs on that side. So we were just looking to just not have to pay any fees. And also simultaneously, we don't want to like just throw on surcharges. Although I feel like that has also kind of shifted recently, where a lot of places, no matter whether it's B2B, when you're going to B2C, where you're seeing like, oh well, there's a credit card convenience fee, or there's a credit card processing fee, and all this other stuff. So I understand that people want that flexibility to pay. Those points and miles are worth a lot depending on on how you're going to use those. So I think that was nice for me to also offer that option where if we're charging $200 for a keg, that I'm going to get paid $200. And if
Yeah.
our vendor wants to, if they want to pay with credit card because they want the points, they can, and then they can also absorb the fee, or they can also not pay the fee and just do like electronic check.
Yeah. So it sounds like for you, like it was important to like have something that was kind of simple because you didn't have an ERP or anything like that like you needed full integrations with, and something that gave your customers additional options, but there weren't any additional fees to you, were helpful there. And David, because I think this we didn't touch on this before, but you use Melio a lot for wholesale, and that's something we'll talk a little bit more about. But you do some payments through Melio as well for some of your payables for some of the suppliers that you have as well.
For sure. Yeah. So as I think as you see your industry peers use it more often, that we're finding that more of our vendors are also start to either use that as their preferred payment system. Um, you know, root shoot malting is a great example where we want to use some locally grown barley that's malted here in Colorado. So instead of writing a check and printing out an envelope and throwing a stamp on it and everything else, it's really easy to go ahead and just like, oh yeah, we got to pay them, and just scheduling it out too, where okay, cool, like let's get it sent out before like the due date or whatever. So that's also really convenient to also just either just like have that scheduled out, just knock it off your checklist, and then you could also like do it from your phone or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's cool, to kind of hear your experience with that, and how you can kind of weave it in, with the scheduling piece out there on the payable side, but then you're kind of getting it on both sides. You get to see what's going out and what's coming in, with Melio, which is kind of cool too. And so, like, one of the things you touched on earlier in this was that you had mentioned that, like, it's important to like find ways, or like getting paid is not always the easiest thing, from your wholesale customers and things along that lines, and that being able to offer different tools to them. So talk to me a little bit, or talk to us a little bit about how being able to offer them different ways of paying has been helpful, or what about Melio has made it a little bit easier for you to collect payments or get your customers to pay you digitally versus what they might have done in the past?
Yeah, so we deal with a lot of all sorts of restaurants. From large restaurant groups to mom and pop restaurants. They do everything from they do CO. Some of them do COD. Some of them have their own like electronic transfer system that we signed up for, that they just like auto deposit into our account. Um, a lot of them are, they're, I would definitely say they're more, mom and pop. So, like, oh, well, the owner's not here and you can't write the check or something like that. In Colorado here specifically, there's also it's against liquor code to extend terms to anybody that's more than net 30 past due. So you can give up to net 30 terms, and then we'll have to say, hey, we're sorry, it's liquor code. We can't extend you any more terms. You have to go COD, or unless you pay us, because we don't want to jeopardize our liquor license. So they can be like, okay, yeah, we can totally do it. Just and we just tell them, it's like, here, follow this link for Melio, and then like you can pay right away, and then we'll mark this current, and then we can get your delivery done today. So that's one, that's definitely happened a few times where there's also some that are like, they send it to their own offsite accounting department, and that accountant was not available, or they forgot to send the payment. And so they want to be able to sell our beer, and then we would like to sell the beer, but we would also like to um, make sure that we're operating in the guidelines that the liquor enforcement division says that we have to. So
Yeah. Yeah, and the link that you're referring to, for folks that aren't familiar, when you have a receivables account with Melio, you have a payment link that customers kind of go through a few steps just to set up their payments through. And so in instances like David is referencing, if the person's not there that can make the payment, all they have to do is get access to the link and schedule that to the brewery. Before you started to use Melio, or just really any other sort of digital payment options, how were most of your payments coming in? Was it a lot of checks, or like what was that process like for you?
yeah, we get a lot of checks. Some of them just want to do paper checks. They probably also, I definitely seen some, like, either, they're like, oh, this check is from Melio, or like, oh, this check is from QuickBooks, or they have their own accounting system. They send them. So, we definitely get a lot sent through the mail. And, unfortunately, that one's like, that one's still pretty paper heavy, where, we wait for the mail to come in, see if there's any checks, enter them in, and then at least you don't have to go to the branch so often anymore now with mobile deposit. So
Yeah,
that's been really helpful with online banking.
awesome.
I also wanted to
Awesome.
go back and touch about the cash flow and how to manage it. For many, many years, we were, things were going well, and we would, in the beginning, we would take advantage of like net 30 terms. So we would just wait until like the payments are actually due. And then I would say like 2018, we were like, this is, I don't want to, like, I want to keep my books like super current. So we just paid everything like COD, or we paid everything away. But as like business has slowed, and um, expenses have gone up, we have been relying more and more on 30, just kind of like, pay at the, within the last few days before they're due. So at least, we're still paying on time, but we get to hold on to our cash a little bit longer.
Awesome. And you kind of mentioned the scheduling things out for like folks like Root Shoot and whatnot. Does, like, when you're using Melio to pay, does it like helpful to be able to like schedule those payments out, for that 30-day mark, or whenever your terms are? Or do you do
Oh
anything
yeah.
along those lines?
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's like, oh, if there's like a really big invoice coming up, and it's like, oh, well, it also falls on the day then that payroll is due, and also like rent is due, then I can, put up like, a couple weeks after that, where like I know that, I don't have any like major expenses coming up. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, we also try to get everything paid off by the end of the month, regardless if they're done, just to get like just to keep our books a little bit more current.
Do you do you spread out your payments through different methods, or is it usually one specific method that you handle your payables?
I would say it just varies. I mean, we have we don't have too many outside vendors that we're that we use Melio with. We have like our keg line cleaning services. We also carry some guest taps from our friends. So sometimes they want to like um, so we're buying some beer too. So we'll use Melio for that. And then like a trivia person, we'll do like the paper check and stuff.
Mhm.
So that's like a lot easier than instead of like writing a check and
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I mean, it's been really great to like kind of hear your perspective on both sides of that, where you find ways to incorporate Melio into your payment process, how you're managing just cash flow generally, but then also like, how this has helped transform some of the wholesale side of your business or made that easier for you as well. So it's exciting, to kind of hear from that perspective. Any others kind of like, things that are lingering in your head about cash flow or just, running a brewery that, final comments that you're thinking you want to make sure you're able to share in this?
you mentioned like the link, so it's kind of like your own link that like directly ties to your Melio account. So that one, my sales manager is now putting it in like pretty much at the bottom of his emails. It's now printed on every invoice. I think maybe you also helped me get like a QR code set up. So it's like, a combination of our logo and the QR code. So, it's kind of like everywhere. So we've tried to make it as like frictionless as possible, make sure that we're getting paid for the beer that we deliver.
Yeah, I think it's funny. A lot of times when I talk to folks who are in this industry or just kind of in the alcohol space, whether it be beer or spirits or anything like that, there can be a perception that the people that you all sell to are a little old school. They like doing things one way and they're never going to change. And I think to your point, the when you kind of put it in front of them in a lot of different mediums, whether it's on the invoice and an email, a text or anything like that, like those folks that are kind of apprehensive or we think are apprehensive to change, like they try it out and whether it's us or anything else, they kind of find that, oh, this is actually more convenient than I thought it would be, and inevitably it gets them on that path. So I'm glad that like you're seeing the kind of value and the success of like trying out all those different ways.
I think, yeah, time has also helped too, where, we, just like us, like we're not wanting to sign up for like yet some other service with another separate login and everything else that we're just trying to keep track of. But over time, you see, oh, well, hey, like this vendor, we use Melio, and then they look at someone else use Melio, and then, once you see like the adoption kind of pick up, it kind of like seems to just gather more steam. And so more and more people that, are using it now, they're then like, okay, cool. Like, if all these other people are using it, maybe, and there's like and it's like free, then or it can be no fee, then you can, it's like, oh, let's try that out. And so I think, um, that's been good, especially for like the kind of like the smaller businesses and smaller breweries like myself.
Awesome. Awesome. um in an unrelated, Mark, because you've given like, I feel like just like such everything you've provided, I feel like has been so helpful and so insightful. But for you, like when folks come to Denver and they want to find you, where do they find you? But also like you mentioned that you've had several of these like gold medals for these IPAs. I want to know like what beers should they be checking out when they come to town, and yeah, give them a little bit about where to find you and what they should be checking out when they get here.
Yeah, so we're located in Southeast Denver. From downtown, we're about 8.5 miles away, and depending on traffic, it can be pretty far. It's definitely more of a destination spot where, we got plenty of parking. So if you happen to have a car or not, or even if people definitely lift down here, we got lots of parking for sure. Our Superpower IPA is our flagship. It's been our number one selling beer since we've opened, and that one's won, yeah, gold in 2019 for American Style Strong Pale Ale, and then silver in 2020 for American Style Strong Pale. We are draft only, so we are in a lot of like mostly beer centric places. So some of the best beer bars in town would be, you think like First Draft, you think of Hops and Pie. Two Penguins. So we're like in these, in these like beer centric places, but then we also are in places like the Elle Steakhouse inside the Ritz Carlton downtown, and then this kind of like small like bars, and that kind of have a focus in craft. So we find ourselves in the beer centric places for sure.
That's awesome. Well, for folks that haven't been to Denver, if you do make it here, there's a lot of those places. I would say to folks, you throw a rock and you're going to hit a brewery or a place that's selling good beer here in Denver, which is awesome. So I just, as we're kind of wrapping up, I want to thank anyone who's joined us today. This has been such an amazing conversation with David. And David, thank you again so much for sharing the experiences you've had, not only with Melio, but just like in, building and growing your brewery. And we hope that like this really gives everyone something to think about and potentially some tools that they might think could benefit their own business, whether from a cash flow standpoint or receivables or however that might work. So we're so excited that we had a chance to share this with you. Steph and myself, we work with breweries across the country. Steph and so we would love to work with you too. So if you all have questions or you want to learn more about how this works or if we can help support your business, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll definitely make sure that you're able to get in touch, and we're happy to help.
And I think if you're going to be sending out, I think my email will be it'll be out there too. So if you have any other questions or if you're going to be coming up to Denver, hit me up. I'm definitely not getting paid for this, so you don't have to worry about that.
Thank you so much, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Take care. Cheers.